Okay, let's, I'll share this screen and we'll continue on. Yesterday, we learned about the general concept of why we learn about the Beis HaMikdash. And we learned about the importance that according to the Rambam, it's not just a question of learning about something that happened once upon a time, or even learning about something that will happen soon. According to the Rambam, it's a mitzvah, positive mitzvah at all times, which means now in our time, if this is what we can do for building the Beis HaMikdash, we have to do it because the Beis HaMikdash is a constant mitzvah for all times. And therefore we have the mitzvah in this time, especially when we remember about the Beis HaMikdash, it's a time to learn about it because that is the amount that we can do in the moment until the next moment when we get to building it, as if we're actually building it. Now let's continue. Let me get the... Okay. The Rambam, the way the Rambam himself puts it, okay, so let's look at how the Rambam starts right in the beginning of the first chapter when he describes what is the mitzvah of building a Beis HaMikdash. And the Rambam writes the following: mitzvah saseh, there is a positive mitzvah, a positive commandment from Hashem. Lasois bayis lashem. What does that mean? To make a home for Hashem. Quite a very powerful thing if we think about it. The Almighty, the creator of the world, the creator of everything, asks us, please make me a house. And we'll actually examine that soon and see what that's all about. But that's number one. He wants us to make him a house. Secondly, a second part of that. Muchan liyois makrivin bayakarbanis. This house is not just a house for Hashem. It's all the offerings that we bring in it. So that's number one. It's a home which has the ability to do the things that need to be done in it. And what else? Part of this home for Hashem is that it has to be a place where we can Hashem says, make for me a temple, make for me a sanctuary, make for me a place where I can rest my presence. Now, what does that mean? V'asuli mikdash. Make a home for Hashem. Here you have a home, a palace. Hashem is our king. He says, I want you to make me a home. And in fact, it's an interesting idea that he says, I want you to do this for me. This is what I want you're doing. I want it to be to make me a home. Now, there could be 2 points in what making a home for Hashem constitutes. We spoke about the idea yesterday that Hashem is, so to speak, up there in the 7th heaven. We don't see him in this world. He created the world specifically in a way that he's hiding in it. Our job is to reveal him. But there's 2 points in our bringing Hashem down into this.
Letting your part stop the spread. Changing our behavior and attitude will help us stop the spread of COVID-19. Social and
number 1, make a home
realized work. A mosque and
So we're looking for a place that we can, two things. We're making him a home, so to speak, which means we're bringing him down into the world. And then number two is we're making a place that we can lift ourselves above our own limitations and be able to connect to him. Now, there's a very interesting thing, and that is that there's actually two opinions. What is the main purpose of this Beis HaMikdash? The Rambam and the Ramban. The Rambam is Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon, who we're learning his halachas. The Ramban is Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman. He was about 50 years, he was just after the Rambam. The Rambam says, as we just learned, what's the purpose of this home? It's a home for Hashem. But what's its purpose? A place where we can bring karbanis. The Ramban said differently. The Ramban says that when Hashem chose us as his nation, part of the idea of us being his nation is that he wants to reveal himself upon us. He wants to be present within us. On Har Sinai, when he made us into a nation, when he gave us the Torah, on Mount Sinai, he revealed himself. He didn't just give us a Torah. He revealed his presence. The only time that the Almighty, that the Creator reveals his presence upon a people, that was there. After that, he said, I want there to be a constant place where, just like on Mount Sinai, I was revealed, will be somewhere I'll be able to be in order to be able to show my presence amongst you. Now, let's look at the Rambam. The Rambam brings this pasuk, as we see, Ve'asuli mikdash v'shachanti v'seicham. This pasuk talks about the Mishkan in the Midbar. And yet the Rambam says this as a general commandment for all time, that we always have to have a place that we're building for Hashem. Let's look at the idea of that. Let's take a look at the concept that we brought earlier, the idea of transportation. You could be going on a horse and buggy. You can be going on a train. You can be going on a car or an airplane. They're all the same idea. It's all to get from point A to point B. It depends on which time you're in, the evolution of transportation. It depends on how far you need to go. It depends on how fast you need to go. But they're all the concept of bringing you from point A to point B. But there's something interesting. If you want to get from point A to point B, you're going to need two things. You're going to need wheels. Without wheels, you can't move. And you're going to need an engine, whether the horse is the engine, whether it's the horsepower in the train or the car or the airplane. Because they're all trying to accomplish the same thing, take you from point A to point B, which is in general the Rambam's idea of the Beis HaMikdash. Take us out of our limited existence. Let us bring karban. Sure, Hashem rests his presence there, but he does that in order to make a place where we can connect to him. Let's look at the other idea, which is more the Ramban's idea, and that is if you want to have a home, you can have a hut, you can have an apartment or a hotel room, which is just something that you're renting or even buying a smaller place. You can have a house, you can have a palace, depending what you want to accomplish. But the idea is the same. It's a place where you can live. And in order to have that, you need to have four walls and you need to have a roof. There's always going to be the need to be, whether it's the smallest place or the biggest place, which the difference between them is almost incomparable. But since they're all accomplishing the same thing, they all need to have the same points. This is what the Rambam tells us over here. The Rambam says, the Beis HaMikdash, the Mishkan, they seem to be as different as possible. The Mishkan was a mobile place, as we learned yesterday. The Beis HaMikdash was a settled stone structure. And yet, since they're all accomplishing the same mission, in the back, we have the Aron, the place where Hashem rests his presence, whether that's the main point or he's resting his presence so that in the front we can serve him. But you need to have the basic ideas that Hashem puts in order to have a Beis HaMikdash, in order to have a Mishkan. Let's look at the Mishkan. In the back of the Mishkan, on the west side, all the way in the back, that's where that Aron that we saw before, the Holy Ark, the Holy of Holies, that's where Hashem rests his presence. There is a covered place, an inside place where we do the inside service of Hashem. Then there's the courtyard, the outside place where we do the outside service. There's two types of service. We're not going to have time to discuss that today, but as we go on, we're going to learn more about the differences between the inside service and the outside service. But the whole general idea is if you want to serve Hashem, you need to have the four wheels in the engine, regardless of how it happens. So when you have it, there's the inside. The inside is all the way in the back on the west. You see the Aron, the Holy Ark. There's a curtain in between, and then you have the things that we do inside, which is the menorah, the light drawing down godly energy and light into the world, the shulchan where we put the showbread, which is elevating the world, and the mizbeach haktoras, the golden mizbeach, where we bring incense, which that's the idea of the essential connection, because just like in a smell, in the nose, that's where the essential essence of the person is. Then we have the outside place. The outside place, we have the Mizbeach. The Mizbeach is the altar. That's where we bring karbanis. That's where we're elevating, where we're bringing the physical world closer to Hashem. That's why it's outside. Now, when we had a Beis HaMikdash, the Mishkan was the first place that Hashem said to rest his presence, and that's where Hashem gave the blueprint. He says, if you want to have a home for me, this is what I need. I need the back place where there's the Aron, where there's the most hidden and holy place all the way in the west. That's where there's the Holy Ark, or at least the place of the Holy Ark, as we'll learn. I need the inside place where you do the service of drawing down godliness into the world, and I need the outside place where you elevate the world. That has to be no matter what you do. So when King Solomon came and he built the Holy Temple, there was a blueprint from King David, but it was all based on this idea. It's a stone structure. It's a set edifice which lasts. It's not just something which is moving. It lasts and it remains in its place. But in this stone structure, you have the back where there's the Holy of Holies. You have the inside where there's the menorah, the shulchan, and the inner mizbeach, the inner altar for the incense. And then you have the outer mizbeach, the courtyard on the outside. The setup is the same. Then the one thing that we do have in a Beis HaMikdash, because it's established, which we don't have in the Mishkan, is a part of the structure called the Ulam. The Ulam is the hallway. When something is a house, the Mishkan didn't have it because the Mishkan is temporary and mobile. When you build a house, when you build a palace, you don't just go straight into it, there's a hallway. Now we see the second Beis HaMikdash. What was the story of the second Beis HaMikdash? When the first temple was destroyed by the Babylonians, they went into exile in Babel for 70 years. They came back from exile and they built a second Beis HaMikdash. The first Beis HaMikdash lasted for 410 years. The second Beis HaMikdash was bigger. We're going to learn more about it next time. The second Beis HaMikdash was bigger. The second Beis Hamikdash also lasted longer in the physical dimensions of time and space. The second Beis Hamikdash was greater. In the spiritual dimensions, the first Beis Hamikdash was greater. And then there's the third Beis Hamikdash. The third Beis Hamikdash is much, much bigger, as we are going to learn, please God, as we learn this about it, much bigger, but it's also something which will last eternally, meaning not just in spiritual sense. In the spiritual sense, it's greater than the first and the second, and in the physical sense, in both time and space, it's something that will last forever. Now, that's the idea of the three different Beis Hamikdashes, and as we said last time, and it's important to remember this concept, that the third Beis Hamikdash, we don't know 100% yet how it will be. But while the Jewish people were in exile, Hashem gave a prophecy to Yechezkel HaNavi, one of the greatest prophets of all time. And he showed him the dimensions of the third Beis Hamikdash. He showed him the measurements. He showed him exactly, and he told him to commit to memory and to teach the Jewish people every aspect of it. So we have a lot better idea than people think, because most people think, yeah, we know what the second Beis Hamikdash looked like. We know pretty much what the first looked like. We have no idea what the third one will look like. That's totally not true. There's so much that we know about the third, besides for the fact that they implemented into the second, a lot of aspects of it. But there's so much more that we know about it than what people think. And God willing, in the classes that we learn, we will try and compare the difference between the first, the second, and the third, because we learn mostly about the second, but also about the ideas of the third. But once again, you can go on this link if you want to learn more. There's more ideas, the Rambam itself, of a daily share on this link. Have a good Shabbos, everyone. Good Shabbos.
Thank you. Good Shabbos.
Thank you. Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.